Today, I'm joining you from Las Vegas, Nevada, one of only 9 states where you can pay 0% in income tax. I've been hanging out over the last couple days with many real estate investors, business owners, and billionaires, many of whom live here for the tax benefits. 2 years ago, I wanted to take it one step further because I thought, well, if I can move from California to Las Vegas, what's the difference between moving to Panama or Dubai or Puerto Rico, one of these places where you can pay little to no tax, not just at the state level, but all together. So a year and a half ago, I made the move. I moved to Puerto Rico, and in this video, I'm going to explain why I've seen multiple people, I don't want to use the word indicted, but have massive fines from the IRS and made big mistakes by moving to Puerto Rico, a place that I live, when they do this incorrectly. I want to talk about the truth about Puerto Rico that nobody ever seems to talk about online, the cost of living, the cost of actually moving your business there, and reverting it when you want to move back. We're going to talk about all that in this video. Don't forget about our giveaway. All you got to do is like, comment, and subscribe. I pick 2 people every single video, one person who comments in the first hour and one other person. You can win a free custom built Shopify store and access into our e-commerce program that you can also find linked below. So with that being said, it's my last night in Las Vegas. It's about 6 o'clock right now. I don't even have my watch on. 6 o'clock, headed out, gonna go party with a bunch of people who make way too much money. It's gonna be a fantastic time. They've booked out, the nicest restaurant, private shows. I'm gonna have a lot of fun. Probably won't bring the camera, but I will see you late in the morning. I can imagine it's gonna be a late night. See ya. Oh my God. Oh. Good morning, I guess. Last night ran way too long, but oh man, it looks like a nice day. And just like that, we made it back safely and alive to my home in Arizona. Now, I want to break down the 2 main tax advantages that you can take part of if you move to Puerto Rico. There's one commonly known as Act 20 and another Act 22. A lot of people don't know that since they rolled out Act 60, which is the roll-up of both of those, you still can do what's called separating those decrees, which means you can choose either one. The one that I'm a part of is called Act 20. This is where I'll give you a real-time example. Let's say your company makes $1 million in profit, just for easy math. $1 million in the US, you're going to be taxed at 37% federally, the highest bracket, and you're also going to be taxed at whatever your state rate is. That could be 0% if you live in a place like Nevada in Las Vegas, or in California, it could be up to 13.5%. So your tax rate could be anywhere from 37% to 52.5%. Crazy. I think that's what the maximum could possibly be. In Puerto Rico, the specific tax rate is going to be a 4% flat rate tax. Now, I do want to preface that by saying whatever your personal salary is not going to be taxed at 4%. That is a normal, I believe, federal bracket income. So for an example, my personal salary every year is just under $100,000, and I pay probably $26,000 a year in taxes on that. So just to give you rough math, that's a little bit more of a regular tax based on my personal income. Now with Act 20, there was so much paperwork, I was drowning in it. It took months to do. A lot of documents have to get notarized. I wish I would have gotten all the documents lined up before I moved to Puerto Rico because I had to get stuff shipped, notarized, DMV documents, depending on your state. You have to pull driving and criminal records in order to get a driver's license in Puerto Rico. So that makes things a little bit more difficult. It just is a timely process. It also costs anywhere from about $6,000 to $30,000, depending on how you're doing it. So do factor in that startup cost, and it's going to be something similar when you decide to revert it if you ever want to leave the tax program. Now, one thing to keep in mind, because for whatever reason, this was not told to me by a CPA, no tax professional, or the company PR Relocate, which is the main people that I use. A lot of people go through them and get references for accountants and CPAs and whatnot. Nobody told me this. You basically have to live there for 3 years minimum. Okay. And I didn't know this because I asked, I was like, hey, what were to happen if I wanted to leave after 2 years? Like, well, you would owe back taxes for those 2 years. You would have gotten no advantages. So you have to do a minimum of 3 years. So just note that, make sure that fits into your timeline if it's somewhere you would like to move to, because you never know. A family emergency could pop up or something which would prohibit you from being able to meet your requirements of 183 days a year, or really it's about 550 days roughly over a 3-year window. That's more so what they're looking at. Now I'll throw up a picture here. This was a document that was sent to me when I was first going through the process. The Act 20 initial fee is $800. If you want to join Act 22, which we will talk about here in a moment, that is $5,800 of a one-time fee. Your annual reporting fee is $300 for Act 20. And again, we'll talk more about Act 22. Reporting fee for that is also $300. There's also LLC fees, there's compliance fees, there's all sorts of different things. Now, there's expenses that I didn't foresee. A lot of different compliance fees for some reason. Maybe I'm getting scammed, who knows? But there's a lot of like $300, $700, $1,800 charges every single month, it just seems like, with different fees, one-time things that like always pop up. So, I would factor in at least probably $1,500 a month for things that you really didn't expect on the legal side of things, going to get notarized documents, just things that pop up. So factor that in. Again, this is for a higher income earner. That is most of the people that take advantage of this. I do know people that live in Puerto Rico that make all the way down to about $100,000 a year net. That's their income. So, they're saving probably $30,000 a year in taxes, give or take. So it just depends on the person. They live there full time. It can make sense. Just obviously weigh it. In my opinion, if you want my opinion, if it matters, I believe it makes sense when you're making above $500,000 a year and you don't mind living in Puerto Rico. So, it's a great place. There's a lot of advantages. But if you're in that 500,000 plus, I think then like the actual financial, you're saving six figures, it really starts to make sense. Now, for all my stock traders out there, NFT, crypto people, metaverse experts, which I am definitely not. I have a lot of friends out there who've made millions like that, it seems, with NFTs. A lot of stock traders, day traders, swing traders, they're joining the program that is called Act 22. This is the capital gains advantage program. I know people that are in both, again, which is known as Act 60 now. Again, you can still separate that out. There's a lot more restrictions when it comes to Act 22, just like there are additional restrictions with Act 20. I had to get rid of my office. I had to get rid of all U.S. employees. I had to W-2 them and actually pay them more, and their benefits got removed. So there's different things like that. But with Act 22, there's a couple more additional restrictions. And let me give you the biggest ones that stood out to me. Every single year, you have to donate $10,000 to a nonprofit Puerto Rican charity. Now, doesn't sound like a bad thing. It's great. I love donating. I don't donate publicly in terms of like talking what I do, but I donate a little bit more than that every single year, not hundreds of thousands of dollars, but I make donations, a lot of GoFundMe campaigns, things of that nature. And you have to donate $10,000 a year, one time in one transaction, to a nonprofit Puerto Rican charity. Now, what a few creative people inside the program did a long time ago, they created their own nonprofit charity that basically just funds events for tax people there. So they'll go rent a big boat or a big conference hall and get together and meet people. I think they do excursions and help clean up stuff on the island. So they do a little bit shady there. I don't know anybody in there, never been involved in it, but I have heard rumors that is something that many people do choose to donate to. So, a lot of people donate to animal shelters. I have a friend that just made a donation there for the year. So different requirements. The second biggest one that would seem to be the biggest obstacle, I have two friends struggling with this right now actually, is you have to purchase a primary residence in Puerto Rico within 2 years if you want those tax advantages from capital gains. Now, when I say capital gains, I do not mean the real estate that I own back in the States. Let's say I were to sell it and realize that profit of $500,000, that's not going to have an advantage. Just like if you buy real estate in Puerto Rico and it goes up, let's say $100,000 and you sell it, you're going to have to pay tax on that. It's a little bit different. We're talking pretty much exclusively for stock traders, cryptocurrency traders. It actually gets a little bit more tricky with NFTs and different things. They might classify it differently, but for right now, that's standard capital gains. So if you make $1 million a year, roughly, I'm sure it's all over the place trading stocks, well, you're going to pay 0%. But you're going to pay a flat rate of $10,000 a year being donated. You got to buy a property within 2 years, and that process is absolutely crazy, very difficult. I have friends that have been trying for 6 months to meet that tax requirement, and they ultimately, one of them had to end up buying the house in cash, a house he didn't really want, just to fulfill the tax requirement. So, things like that you got to pay attention to. I'd recommend if you're going into the Act 22 program, make sure it's something that you are like really trying to hit those criteria early. Start buying a house like inside of the first year. It's a long process. Now, let's talk numbers. My living costs didn't really change. I know people that fly in and out every single week, both on commercial planes as well as private jets. So it really just depends on how you're living. I had a very normal, and this is just my situation. All I can do is give you my situation. So please don't take this in the wrong way. I don't know how you would, but my personal expenses every year range from about $100,000 to $130,000. It's a comfortable range for me. It's where I want it to be inside of. And honestly, I didn't really want to have more personal expenses just because I live in Puerto Rico, because the goal for me is to save money, right? I wanted to spend less money by doing that. So I didn't want to, I know multiple friends that they save $100,000 a year and they spend an additional 70 because we're living it up, we're saving. Then it's like you're only really saving 30,000. What's the real advantage? So I just downgraded my lifestyle in Arizona. I still do have a second home. That's a vacation home. And then I got a primary residence that I rent in Puerto Rico. That place, $11,500. It's about $12,500 with all utilities, Wi-Fi, 2 Wi-Fi systems, mesh extenders, all, because I work from home. So that's important. Having all that stuff set up, I did have a roommate there. I just moved out of that place. My new place will be in the threes, so still a little bit cheaper than I was paying before, because now I know the area, I know where I'm willing to be, where I'm willing to not be, and just things like that nature. You got to get familiar with it. So the first place during the first year was a little bit more expensive, about $140,000+. Again, I wasn't paying all that by myself, but the average cost of living, if you want to be anywhere near San Juan, Condado, Isla Verde, you're going to be spending roughly $2,500 to $3,500 a month. You're going to get a little more bang for your buck in the Isla Verde area. You could go all the way down to Palmas del Mar, Rio Grande. I know a lot of people live in the St. Regis over there, way more expensive. Over in Dorado. Dorado's a very big area, very safe, a lot of families there. They have multiple gated communities, like gates inside of gates inside of gates. It can be expensive, it can be normal price, but just expect that, you're going to spend a little bit of a premium, honestly, unless you're living like far out, kind of, I don't want to say it like this, but kind of in the middle of nowhere or a small beach town. If you want to be anywhere in one of the main areas that are more touristy or more populated, more safe statistically, and closer to the airport, you're definitely going to pay a premium for that. So just keep it in mind. Real estate there has been exploding. It's crazy. Now, I made the decision to purchase a car on the island. I paid cash, $13,500 for a Ford Explorer, I think it is. I honestly don't even know. I don't know what year it is. Anyways, paid for with a credit card at a dealership. A little sketchy. Anyways, got the car. It's been fantastic. Use it every once in a while, but that gives me a little more mobility. Go check out the island, go to a different part, get an Airbnb for a couple days. So, there's very different environments. You want to go up into El Yunque in the rainforest. You want to go over to different parts of the island. You can kind of get a different environment and still feel like you're in a different place while still fulfilling more time requirements in Puerto Rico, which is a great advantage. There's also 2 islands you can go check out as well, short ferry rides or an even shorter flight. If you want to, go have a little fun over there for the day. I have friends who've done it. I have not. We also rent boats with friends every once in a while. You get 5 guys together, split a couple thousand for a nice boat and go out and have fun fishing, snorkeling. So it comes out to a couple $100 a person. That's a fun activity. The lifestyle on the island is definitely different than what I'm used to. It's similar in the sense of, I live in California. I'm familiar with the beach and the ocean, but it's Bahama water. It's very similar to Miami. The water's warm. It's warm there all the time. A lot of flash rains randomly throughout the day like Thailand. That's why I say it feels like a mix between Thailand and Miami. A lot of the stoplights don't work. Most of the highways don't have lines painted on them. The driving is absolute chaos. It's, there's definitely dangerous statistically. So just keep these things in mind from a lifestyle perspective. I definitely noticed a lifestyle shift. Things that were positive in terms of the lifestyle change for me, it was much easier to really focus in on work because there wasn't as much for me to do. I'm not really into the party culture, and that's big. Puerto Rico is still a Spanish culture. You can't deny that. There's a lot of activities to do. A lot of my friends go out drinking. It's just not my scene. I'll go to the bar every once in a while, but it's just not me. So from an activity perspective, I do a little bit less, which means I've found myself working more, which has been great, and working out a lot more. I was able to, I bought a little food scale. I was weighing out all my food, just like really dialing in, trying different diets, trying vegetarian, that did not last long, trying a carnivore diet, trying keto, trying just different things, just mixing it up, see how I feel throughout the day, what are my energy levels, and tracking all of that with this ring right here, this Aura ring that tracks all my data. So super fun. It's been a really interesting experience. I'm into the 2nd year right now. It's been fantastic. As of when I film this, I'm leaving tomorrow night to go back to Puerto Rico for a while. So I've been back for like a couple months traveling, doing a lot of business stuff, a lot of personal travel as well. So that's been fantastic, and I'll probably spend about 250 days in 2022 on the island in Puerto Rico. So I'm super excited for it. It's been fantastic. There's so much that goes into these tax programs. I'm not being paid by any company like PR Relocate that I mentioned, but those are just different resources I use. I've helped a lot of friends move down here. There was actually a friend of mine, Damien, shout out to you, brother, who had just moved there from California. He gave me all his resources, just like 3 main email contacts that really helped me move to Puerto Rico, because it's scary when you're talking about moving all your company stuff and dealing with very specific tax structures that have to be, you got to know what you're doing. I wasn't exactly comfortable cold calling 20 different attorney offices to find who I wanted to work with and figure all that out. So to have somebody who already did it reach out and be able to help me, it helped me a lot. I've helped about 5 or 6 of my friends move down there. I gave them all the connections. So if anybody's looking to move to Puerto Rico, I'd be more than happy. Drop it in the comments or send me a DM on Instagram. Poke me until I see it. I'd love to give you my connections because it was a really easy process, and I'd love to answer any questions as well. We're always looking for more friends. We got a group of like 15 people down there, and it's really cool. People from all over the world, honestly, people with our good friend Alberto. I don't want to put any personal information on blast, but it's a really cool company, and he lived in Spain, and he does. It's really cool. So you just get people from everywhere, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. That's the truth about the 4% Puerto Rico taxes. It is going to be more than 4% if you're using Act 20 for the corporate structure, because there's additional fees, compliance fees, filing fees. There's other things. Most people will see an increase in their cost of living. Again, totally up to you, depending on what you wanted to do. For me, safety and convenience was a priority, so I wanted to be in a very nice building in the prime area near the airport with a gym, with good Wi-Fi, with backup generators, water. That is important. The power's gone out multiple times for a day and a half at a time. So it's important to notice things like that based on where you're going to live. So, just things to keep in mind. But yeah, I'm sure this video will spark a bunch of questions. I've been posting once a week on YouTube. I'm doing 2 giveaways in every single video. All you got to do is comment within the first hour, and you basically get 2 entries. I'm giving away 1 custom-built Shopify store for free, and free access into my e-commerce program, which you can also find linked below, for another person. So 1 person who comments in the first hour is going to be selected, and then a few days later, I'll choose another winner. Those are all getting announced over on my Instagram. So make sure to check it out. I had a lot of fun filming this video, a lot of fun in Vegas as well. But the Puerto Rico taxes, it's definitely been a great experience. No doubt saving a lot of money, but it's a life shock. It's a very different system. There's a lot more that goes into the business side of things, tax returns, because I also own real estate here in the US. So there's multiple tax returns going on. Puerto Rican CPA is in touch with my Arizona CPA. There's a lot of moving parts, right? So just something to keep in mind. But hope you enjoyed this video. If you're looking to save in taxes, that's one great way you can do it. There's a lot of other options that I'd be more than happy to discuss. So I hope this video earned a thumbs up and subscribe. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video. See ya.